Hello everyone, I'm Theodora and we will be painting with some art supplies. So today we will be painting a bit, and I was thinking that we can do it as a beginner-friendly lesson in just a few small steps, and you can easily follow at home and you can paint a beautiful bit since summer is here now. So I think it is a very nice subject. And most of you will be going to the beach, and maybe you will take some photos as reference so you can use it. So I'm just going to give you the basic idea of how to do it and which colors to use. So yes, I'm going to show you how to do this in watercolor easily. So I'm going to flip my camera around so you can see my table and we can start painting. I'll be using also some gouache details. Probably. So let's see. So first, like always, we will be gathering our materials. So we need a jar of water, a paper towel, all right, and our palettes. So for this, I was thinking of using the Vista palette, and there's also this one that has this turquoise blue and phthalo green that are kind of essential when you're painting beach. So phthalo blue and phthalo green and aqua green, they're really nice shades for you to mix together in order to create a nice shade for the water, you know, for the sea. And I'm just grabbing my paper. So General Supplies launched a watercolor paper that is 100% cotton, and it comes in many different sizes. Here it's the list of the sizes. I have this one that is the smallest right now, and I'll be probably cutting it in half because I will be painting in small scale, but you can do it as big as you like. Okay. All right. And I'll be using my ruler. Okay. And I'll be cutting here, about the middle of the paper. And I can use the rest of the paper for something else. And that's something that you can do if you have paper that is too big. You can always cut it to the size that you want. Alright, so this is a good size, I think. Okay. Just make sure that the paper is straight. And now a good step is to stretch the paper, since we will be using a lot of water because we will be working today in washes. So a nice trick is because the tape could be a bit sticky and it can ruin your paper when you try to pull it off, is to stick it to your clothing first, so it won't be that sticky, in order to, you know, that it can ruin your work. And then stretch your paper. Stick it a little bit to your clothing first, right? And we'll do the same with the rest of the tape. Okay. And also when you tape your work, it's nice because you will have a nice frame when you remove it, that it will be white. More tape. We are going to tape all four sides. Okay. And again. Nice. And I'm just going to add a little bit for here because We don't want our paper to buckle. Okay, now it's well stretched. And the next step will be to take the ruler again, and we will, where is it? Oh, there it is. And we're going to see where the sky is going to be, where is going to be the sea at the middle, and here we have the sand. So here will be the horizon line, and from here above it will be our sky, right? And here will be the sea. And here in this space will be the sand, all right? Nice. Then the next step we do is we're going to mix our colors first in order to be more organized. You can do this while you're working, but I think it will be less frustrating if you have already mixed your colors. So let's have a look. So this is a Vista palette I'll be using. And it has this really nice aqua green, some nice blues, and this color that we'll be using for the sand. So mostly I'll be using this palette. Okay. I'm going to grab a mixing palette so we can start mixing our shades. Okay, unfortunately, my palette is not clean, but it will do. Okay, so now we have a mixing palette. Okay, so we will be mixing. Maybe I'll be using some sage from this palette as well, because it had this nice phthalo blue. So this is what this palette looks like. Okay. And let's start mixing. I'm going to grab the number 10 round force color brush. It's from the Black Tulip set, but you can use any big round brush you have in order to mix your colors. Okay, so this one is the phthalo blue. Okay, so I'm adding some of it on my palette. And we also want some ultramarine blue. Is it this shade? Yes. So we're mixing them together. And this is going to be the darkest shade of the sea. So the sea starts from the darker to mid-tone to the lightest tone and to white, because here is the shore lace. All right, so this will be the darker color. So it's phthalo blue and ultramarine blue. All right, more ultramarine than phthalo blue because we want the color to be dark. Then the sea will become more turquoise, so we will be mixing the aqua green, which is this nice turquoise shade. It's very beautiful. And we'll be mixing it with the phthalo blue again. And maybe a hint of this one, that it's the, let's see what this one's called. The turquoise blue, which is this nice blue. Looks amazing. I love this blue. And lastly, we will be using some of the jelly gouache. If you have white gouache, I will be very helpful. Or maybe you have some white watercolors, or maybe some white acrylic that you can dilute with water so it can give you the watercolor effect. So this is the white gouache. We will be adding it here. But we will also be mixing it with a little bit of the phthalo blue. This is the lightest bit of the sea, all right? Because we want this nice ombre or dégradé effect. All right, so here are our blues ready. And we can start from the sky. Okay, so for the sky, I'll be using this blue, which is a nice grayish blue, and just a hint of a cerulean blue. But you can use any blue you like that is light enough. Okay, and we start with some washes. Starting with some thin washes. And we can always come back to it, right? And you can leave some of the bits white because that is going to make the sky look more realistic. And always remember when you're painting a sky that it's always darker on top and lighter as you go down. Okay, so we're letting it dry. And because we don't want the colors to bleed into each other, we're not going to paint the sea now. We are going to wait for it to dry. So we're going to move to the sand, all right? So for the sand, you can use a yellow ochre that is going to give you this golden shade of the sand, all right? So again, with the same brush, which is a round brush, we're painting the sand. We're only using the yellow ochre. And if you want the watercolors to be darker, you can always add a bit more pigmentation here. And if you want it to be more transparent, you can always add more water so it will be more transparent. And that is going to give you a sense of dimension without doing much. And I'm also going to add a little bit of color here. And you'll see why, because we want to see underneath the sea will be visible that it's the sand, so we want to create that illusion. Okay, and we also want the sand to look a little bit messy, so I'm leaving some spaces lighter and here a little bit darker. I add more color. Okay, so now what we can do in order to speed up the process of drying is to bring a hair dryer, and in just a few seconds it will be completely dry in order to work with. Much faster. Okay. Also, I was thinking of adding a few seagulls at the sky. That always makes it look more nicer. Okay, so here is the hair dryer. Okay. Okay, so now our painting is dry and we can continue working on it. So the next step is to take the darkest blue. Just remixing some of the color. And you can do some lines here to give the impression that, you know, there is some movement. When he tries. And now we're going to use the aqua shade. So don't forget to tell me in the comments if you prefer to spend your summer by the sea or in the mountains. And now it's time for the lightest blue. Okay, so this is like our shoreline. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to dry it with a hair dryer once again. Sorry about the noise. Perfect. Okay, let's switch brushes. Which one? Okay, let's take the number 5 squirrel mix brush. Just make sure that your horizon line is as straight as it can be. If possible. Okay, so this will give the impression that there is, you know, some movement, some waves here. Okay. And now with the aqua shade. Perfect. And now with the lightest one. And also we're doing it above where we painted. So we give the impression that here is like transparent and we're painting the solar lakes. And I'm doing that with some white gouache. So this is like a nice trick. And you can add a little bit more lightest dots when it dries, just to make sure that your white is white enough in some areas, so that will give the impression that there's some sparkle, some trick of the light or something. Add some white here as well. So the white really helps us. Hello, how are you? Thanks for joining. I'm doing okay. How's work going? Okay. So now I think the water looks really nice. We have some nice movement here. But, you know, be careful not to overdo it with the white details. Okay. So I think for the sky, I like how it turned out. So here is lighter, so it gives the impression that there are some clouds. So if you by mistake add more blue and you want to remove some of it to create this cloud impression, all you have to do is take a little bit of paper towel and just tap here and it will remove the excess, so it will give you this effect as well. So now with a ring and brush, let's find one. So with a ring and brush from the Millimeter set, we're going to paint some seagulls. I'm just using some Payne's gray, and that's how to do it. You just do this V, and here are some seagulls flying. I think it looks nice. Okay. And now for some finishing touches, I'm just going to take a little bit more of this white gouache. I'm just going to add a little bit more highlights here because the white isn't white enough in some areas, so we're adding a bit more to give it some sparkle and a bit more dimension. And basically that is our final result. And I think it's pretty easy for you to try. You don't really have to have, a reference photo to paint this, but you can also have a reference if you want. So that was it. Let's have an up close. So this is it. I think it looks really nice and it's very beginner friendly, and we used four different colors in order to create this. So it's not difficult if you don't really know how to mix colors. You can easily achieve this result. So thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.